And you mentioned the Peloponnese. Are there any other regions or islands that are currently attracting the most interest among them, and why?
I mean, in the Peloponnese, Kalamata. Kalamata is a huge one. Main reason being is they have an international airport. They have a really good international school for expat children, and it goes from elementary even to high school. So they're essentially in the same school the whole time. They also have a really good hospital. Another place, I mean, you always hear about Lemeni, Mani, Stupa, Kardamili. The people from the UK, they love Stupa. There's a huge expat community there. So those are like the kind of the key spots that I'm seeing, especially Kalamata. Another place is Naplio. I mean, Naplio is huge right now. My other collaborating partner promotes a lot of Naplio and like the surrounding towns on that area. And that's like kind of less about the amenities and more about just enjoying the beauty. You know what I mean? They have beautiful beaches there. You know, it's only about 2.5 hours away from Athens. You know, Nafplio, Argos, Astros, all those areas are just beautiful. Another area that the retirees are looking into as well.
And what is a realistic budget range for a comfortable home in Greece, and how does that vary by region? So I know that in big cities and, you know, places like Santorini and Mykonos are known as the most expensive, but if you could give us an idea, that would be great.
I mean, it honestly varies. Greece is so different amongst so many different areas. It's really hard to like come up with like a really good value. What I can tell you is compared to the Canadian and American real estate, I mean, you can't compare. In Vancouver, where I'm from, you can buy a house between 1.3 and 1.5, a single family house, and that's normal, okay? Here, I mean, you can buy a place for 250 to 3, a beautiful place in like a city, or you can pay even less and have even more space in the kind of rural areas. I mean, the money here goes a lot further when you're comparing those markets. You know what I mean? What I can tell you is that every area, Thessaloniki, Athens, they're different. You know, the Peloponnese is different. If you're looking for something a little bit more cost effective, obviously the further away from the main cities, you're going to be able to buy more with your money, essentially. The rentals, they also vary. It's really hard to give you a specific dollar value because let's say Thessaloniki, I was talking to my collaborating partner there and she goes, you know, there's 5 main districts, you know what I mean? But each one has their different amenities and each one has a different per square meter price. So she's like, it's really hard to give you a gauge. All I can tell your readers is that, I mean, reach out to you if they're specifically asking about one area. I mean, I can answer those directly and it could probably be more beneficial to your reader or to your listeners. I don't want to tell you something that I can't really, because it's so different amongst Greece. I don't want to tell you something that's not truthful. So my best recommendation is to have your listeners reach out to you and get us in contact, and we can research whatever they want.
What are some of the ongoing costs homeowners should budget for? So, or have in mind, like property taxes, maintenance, utilities. So if you could give us an idea of what that would be for our listeners, that would be really helpful.
Of course. So like most places, they do have property tax. It's a fraction of what we normally pay in Canada or the States. It depends on the value of the property. It depends on the location. Obviously, the bigger cities, they're going to have more taxes because it goes back into the city spending budgets. You know what I mean? So that's kind of specific on based on the location. In terms of maintenance, they estimate about 50 cents to €1 per square meter per month. Again, depends on whereabouts you are. The utilities, they range between 100 to 300 euros a month. Obviously, this varies with property size, location, and weather. My family, even if it's hot out, we rarely use AC, whereas people blare their AC. It depends on kind of how you're using your space. But I would say on the high end, probably about 300 euros, but just depending on how much you're utilizing. And, you know, in the winter, it does get cold here. So how are you heating? Are you using a fireplace with wood? Are you using the space heaters? Are you using the oil furnaces? All those factors vary. So it's really hard to gauge, but I would say about 300 max, depending.
Got it. And how far does, I know you mentioned this before, 250,000 euros to 500,000 euros go in today's Greek market? So do you get like a swimming pool, a villa? Like, do you get a 3 bedroom? So curious.
A heck of a lot further than in Canada and the States, I'll tell you that. I just had a client, they sold their house in Canada. They're moving to Kalamata actually, and they've paid off their mortgage. They also have a retirement money that's coming in, and they have enough money to last them the rest of their lives. I mean, where else can you really find that? It's next to impossible. So I mean, in Athens, I mean, for that price range, you could get a really nice, 1 to 2 bedroom apartment for 250. It depends on obviously if it's a new build, if it's an older building, you know what I mean? So again, it's really hard to say. Nafplio, because it's a little bit further out and it's away from the city. I mean, you can get a 2 to 3 bedroom apartment or a house even easily within that budget. Kalamata, same as kind of Nafplio, but a bit more of an expensive, more expensive than Nafplio just based on demand right now. But again, you could get a house easy for that. You can get an apartment obviously for that. Thessaloniki, same thing. I mean, Thessaloniki, they do have a lot of new builds, which is nice, but you could get a really nice 2 to 3 bedroom apartment in a really desirable area for about that money. But I mean, 250 to 500, you're talking, that's a big range, So again, if your listeners are specific, like want specific answers, I mean, to reach out to you and then we can kind of research them case by case.
Yeah, it is a big range, and it depends on the region as well and what you're looking for. So that totally makes sense. So for those that want to rent before buying, what's the current rental landscape like? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And are long-term rentals relatively easy to find?
They're not as easy as you'd hope, unfortunately. Every one of my client right now wants to, well, not everyone, but a lot of them want to rent for 1 year, which makes sense, to see if they like the area, if they like, the specific area of choice. The problem that I'm finding is that a lot of them are used for short-term rentals. So going into the summer season, it's really tough to secure these rentals in the main areas. Obviously, Southern Peloponnese, I mean, it's a little bit less populated. It's a bit easier to find, but still tough. It is advised that if you're looking for a long-term rental, to use it more towards like the autumn, fall time, because then they've already used the income for the summer months, and then they're looking forward to it. Again, a lot of people don't want to do 1 year rentals because that leaves them money on the table for the summer months. So navigating that landscape is a bit tough, not going to lie to you. But we're finding ways. We're finding ways. Again, I try to push my clients till after the summer months because there's more inventory.
I think I've tried to look in Crete and it was impossible. Like during the summer months, obviously it's impossible to find a long-term rental because everybody wants to rent it short-term, which yeah.
And it's tough, you know what I mean? There is talk that the short-term rental landscape will change, much like Vancouver, Canada. Short-term rentals in Canada and Vancouver are no longer allowed unless they're in your primary residence. So I mean, that opened a lot for long-term renters, but then as an investment perspective, you bought it because you wanted to make residual income, so you get stuck. I hope that's not going to be the case for everybody's benefit increase or to that extreme. But I'm hoping it will change. They do have some incentive programs to the bank that if they do renovations or stuff and they open it to long-term housing, that they will get incentives. There's also with the Golden Visa program, you can take a commercial building worth 250,000 or more and convert it to long-term housing to help with that gap as well. I'm hoping these two programs specifically is going to help with that limited inventory. Again, it's too soon to tell. So we'll have to see how it goes. But for right now, the long-term rental market is a bit tough, but we're finding ways to navigate it.
Perfect. I know you mentioned the Golden Visa. So I just wanted to know more about that, what you know, and if you could inform some of the buyers that would be interested to buy property under this program. Yeah, what would they need to be informed about from a property perspective?
So as of today, because it does change, so as of today, so for Athens, Thessaloniki, Mykonos, Santorini, and the major islands, so anything with over 3,000 permanent residents is subject to an 800,000 buy-in to gain residency. The other less populated areas, so under 3,000 for the most part, is about $400,000 or euros, should I say. And then for commercial to residential conversions, which is like what I just talked about, you can get into as little as 250. So you would buy a commercial building, you convert it to long-term housing, and then you're able to get the golden visa through that as well. But the couple things to be cautious about, if you're buying a house, that it has to be used for your primary residence. So no longer short-term rentals. Before that, you were allowed to. Now you're not. It's only for personal use. It has to be a minimum of 120 square meters. So some of the benefits is that you get the 5-year renewable residency for your family and yourself. You get free travel within the Schengen region. Sorry, I have a tough one with that, which I love because, I moved to Greece to travel Europe predominantly, enjoy the sunny weather, but that's all a good benefit for most people. And then the citizen is possible for a 7-year renewal as well. And if I'm mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you probably know quite a bit with that as well.
No, that's totally spot on what you just said.
Okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to know because I was curious about when you convert a commercial property into a residential one, you can still obviously be eligible for 250,000. Have you seen examples of that lately? Like how easy is that to do?
Like the logistical part of it, if you have the right team, it makes it easier. It's finding qualified workers, which is a bit tough. I know one of my clients, they just bought an Athens building, but they brought along their family that is in construction. So they kind of mined that loophole by having their own team in-house. But a lot of the real estate in Athens, especially Piraeus, a lot of it's being taken for people trying to get into the market and move their residency here. With the lower threshold. So the commercial basis of things is getting a little scarce in terms of buying. But that does help the community of Greece because it cleans up the area, it cleans up the neighborhoods. It makes, it opens up housing for people that are residents here. In long term, it's really beneficial for the people of Greece as well. And that's what I'm about. I want to give back too. Even in my main market, I'm trying to find listings with people from overseas that are not using it so that the people can actually use it. It's no good if it's just sitting there crumbling, So that's, and I don't know about you, but is it about 3 to 6 months in order to do the Golden Visa program, or is that typically
So
how?
usually you have to make the full investment. Then you can send in an application and then it will be issued. So they have to see that the full amount has been paid. You can't like put a deposit down and then get your golden visa. That it doesn't work that way. And then pay in installments. I think you have to make the full investment before getting that residency.